think for me it's this blending of like the emotions in the song are real, like I feel those about certain things, but the details maybe are not, like it's like the feeling is a real feeling. But yeah, my name's Michael Westbrook. I am a musician of sorts, of all sorts, I guess, or many sorts. I've been a side guy now for about getting close to 15 years, playing for different artists, different singer-songwriters, and as well as kind of a little, somewhat more recently, moving into production and engineering, as well as songwriting and doing the artist thing as well. So fairly multifaceted. Sometimes we have to do uncomfortable things to be better because people have those stigmas about it, and they see those things as negative, and they see like, and then ultimately like either treat people differently, or that kind of affects outcomes. Like it's like, oh well, I don't want to say this because people are going to look at me negatively, or maybe they're going to be awkward with me, or maybe they're not going to hire me for something, because they think that I might be more risky or something, like I think I'm very much like I'm very much an introvert, and so people think that just means that I don't like people, and it's not necessarily the case either, but I think what it does mean, or how I've heard it described, is that like I get strength from being alone, whereas like some people who are extroverted, like they are energized by being in a room with a lot of people, and like that interaction from other people, and that like really gives them a lot of energy. I get energy from being alone, and and doing my thing, whatever that is, like whether that's reading or playing music or practicing, or even just working with my hands on something, like, but just being alone, like for me, is very energizing and strengthening, and I feel like that kind of centers me at times, like when things are hectic and crazy, which they are a lot of times. It's like I have a family and a young daughter, and I'm traveling, and I'm being pulled in a million different directions. It's like sometimes I just have to make sure that I'm getting that like time just to myself to help focus. It's always interesting because my wife is maybe similar to you in that like everybody perceives her as an extrovert, but she's an introvert. She's very like outgoing and like engaging like in people, like groups of people, but like she like finds a lot of strength in her energy from being alone and not in social situations. When I was a kid, when I was younger, my parents split up, and it was just me and my mom for the most part, and we had like a very I was the only child, but we had a very like it was less parental and more like we were friends in a way, and so I think that there were more conversations probably than maybe is normal, like about things like that, or about because I know that my mom at certain points went through different things, and after my parents split up, like, and she never really talked to me a lot about that, but I think there was more conversation about just feelings and that kind of thing than maybe is probably normal, and I think too, like growing up and being involved with different like church and religious like organization stuff, like I do feel like in certain settings, like those things are talked about a little more in those places, where things are healthy, like with myself, and it's something I have to keep in check. It's like have all these friends, you know, and other musicians, and they're like, oh, well, I'm doing this gig, and they're like, oh man, they're gigging tonight, and I'm at home, like, you know, like just even stuff like that. And it's like, and I've been so incredibly fortunate to do music full time for a long time, you know, and it's like, it's easy to forget how, you know, in one way I'm like living the dream, and other people, you know, when I see other people and it's like, oh, well, they're playing here, or they're on this tour, or they're doing this, you know, it's like, it doesn't matter what you're doing, like it's easy to, like, or what level you're doing things at, you're still going to compare yourself to somebody, and like, and it, you know, I think in one way it can help drive you, but if it's not checked and put in the proper place, it can be unhealthy. So like self-awareness is so key to I don't know, being like having a good life. Like it's like if you're aware of yourself and like and how that relates to the world, like that's only going to help like yourself and the people around you. Like that's just so important. I think that there are so many things in life that until you do them, they seem so much harder, they seem so daunting, they seem undoable. And I think that, you know, sometimes making the first step like is the hardest part, but I think that things get easier once you make that first step, and once you start down that road, you know, whatever that is, like whether that's you know, starting a coffee house, or even just addressing you know, addressing issues or addressing things in your own life. Like I think that before you start doing them, they seem way harder, but then once you make that first step, things do get easier. I heard somebody recently say it was just like this idea of I mean, I guess it's this idea of momentum, you know, that I always say, and it's kind of funny, it's like I can do more when I'm doing stuff. like it's like I get more, like the more that I do, the more that I do. It's like I can sit there and be like, oh man, I have all this stuff to do, but once I start doing it, it's almost like my capacity for doing things like increases. Like the busier I am, the more stuff I can get done, just because you kind of make that first step and it just builds momentum, and you start the ball rolling. So I think that would be it. Like if there's something that just seems impossible, like making that first step is, I mean, obviously it's key. That sounds silly to say, but I think that you'll find that you got to do it and know that it's going to get easier. Cool. The song's called Follow You. The wind was blowing, my hands were shaking, I could hardly make it out what it was that you were saying. You were so upset there was nothing to do, but even a fool admits he's wrong a time or two. And if I had a worn down nickel for every chance I threw away, my pockets would be full and I could hardly stand the weight. And I didn't follow you, I didn't follow you. And the door that you walk through, a step or two too few you, I didn't follow you. You told me once 100 times to never let you go, you were mine. And what do you do, what could have been, after you let it pass and roll around the bend? And if I had a worn down nickel for every chance I flew away, my pockets would be full and I could hardly stand the weight. And I didn't follow you, and I didn't follow you. The door that you walk through, a step or two too far. I didn't follow you. If I had a worn down nickel for every chance I threw, my pockets would be full and I could hardly stand the weight. And I didn't follow you, and I didn't follow you, and I didn't follow you. I didn't follow you. The door that you walk through, a step or two too far. I'll be a man who follows through, knock the dust off of my shoe. I'm gonna follow